Kia ora. After the very settled weather of the weekend, it's all change as we head through this week. Areas of low pressure are going to bring some strong winds, some heavy rainfall, and even the return of a bit of snowfall over the next few days. You can see on these charts here, we've already got this cloud pushing on towards that western coast. Beneath that, some heavy rainfall, and these X's here mark the lightning strikes we've seen this morning. We've got more of that to come as we head through the rest of Monday, so we have got some heavy rain warnings in place for many parts of the South Island. As you can see, as we go through the rest of today, this rain continues to feed on towards that western coast, and really heavy rainfall through parts of Fiordland and Westland, and then it moves up the South Island as we head through in towards Tuesday. Some heavy rain watches as well out for parts of, say, Southland and Clutha, even up in towards parts of Canterbury. And accompanying it all, we've got some strong winds as well. So there's plenty going on, particularly across the South Island and that lower part of the North Island as we head through towards the middle part of the week. But let's stick with that rainfall. You can see with all this activity coming in mainly from the south and the west, it's these areas that are going to bear the brunt of the heavy rainfall over the next few days, piling on towards that western coast, parts of Westland and Fiordland. But you can see as well these darker blues out through parts of Southland and Otago. Some heavy rainfall in the mix as well for you as we head through the rest of Monday, Tuesday, and even in towards that first part of Wednesday for parts of Canterbury as well. So we have got plenty of severe weather warnings and watches in place for that rainfall. Like I say, most of these are on the south, and there is a watch out for the likes of the Tauranga Ranges, as we head in towards Tuesday and Wednesday. But the bulk of the activity is down on the south island, particularly on that western coast where we're going to find some of the heaviest rainfall. So for places like Fiordland, we could find another 80 to 120 millimetres of rainfall up about the ranges there. And there will be these thunderstorms embedded in it as well, giving some really intense bursts of rainfall as we head through the rest of Monday. The heaviest rainfall, though, will be up about the ranges of Westland. Could be as much as 260 millimetres of rainfall in amongst there. Lesser amounts down towards the coast, but still enough to cause some issues, perhaps some localised flooding. But it is something to keep a close eye on, and watches as well for those northern parts of Westland as we head through the rest of Monday into perhaps those early hours of Tuesday morning. Similarly, with that rainfall being pushed across by strong northwesterly winds, we've got warnings as well out for the headwaters of the Canterbury rivers, and also a watch for the headwaters of the Otago rivers and lakes. Something to watch out for as we go through again the latter part of Monday through in towards the first part of Tuesday. Something to watch, keep a close eye on as well. As these winds start to turn more southerly, that will push that wet weather in towards the southern parts of the country. So we have that warning out for the likes of Southland from the end of the day on Monday right the way through and towards that first part of Tuesday morning. Not as much as we'll see on the western coast, but for this part of the world, it is still a fairly substantial amount of rainfall. Definitely worth keeping a close eye on. May well cause some issues as we go through the night time. And again, still that chance of perhaps one or two rumbles of thunder and flashes of lightning, not just for the likes of, say, Southland, but also as we head across in towards Dunedin. Similar amounts in terms of rainfall, 60 to 90 millimetres of rain. And again, as we go through that nighttime Monday in towards Tuesday, and a watch for a similar sort of time, particularly for that night time and the early part of Tuesday morning for the rest of Otago as well. So there is plenty happening as we head through the rest of Monday and through in towards that first part of Tuesday morning. You'll also notice we have got watches for Canterbury, both up in the plains and up in towards the high country. So we have got heavy rainfall expected through here as well, but later. So this is really going to be as we head through Tuesday in towards Wednesday. And it's worth saying, with that return of some cold air as well, we might even find some snowfall down to around about 1,000 metres or so. So really up in towards the high country, but it is something to watch out for just as we go through in towards that first part of the day on Tuesday. So a pretty wet story across the South Island, but we are also going to be looking at some stronger winds as well. Two things to watch out for: northwesterlies ahead of this front for the likes of Canterbury High Country, Marlborough and Wellington, but also as we head in towards Tuesday and Wednesday, this low pressure off the eastern coast is giving a real squeeze in those winds, and some strong southerlies up the Canterbury coast, particularly up in towards places like Banks Peninsula. Could be some really windy weather for you as we head through in towards Tuesday and Wednesday. But like I say, a lot of the activity is on the south end. We have got a warning out for Wellington for those northwesterlies again, but it is going to be two distinct features to watch out for. Northwesterly winds ahead of the front for the likes of, say, the Canterbury High Country as we head through the rest of Monday and in towards that early part of Tuesday morning. Gusts perhaps up to around 120 kilometres per hour. Similar kind of values for the likes of Marlborough and Wellington. Again, gusts up to 120 kilometres an hour. Severe gales in the most exposed areas. So a really windy story with those northwesterly winds as this front runs up towards us. So again, the real risk period is Monday night in towards those first parts of Tuesday. And then as that low pressure runs up that eastern coast, we'll start to find the winds really ramping up around the likes of the Canterbury coast, up in towards Otago, and particularly in towards Banks Peninsula. So as we go through in towards Tuesday, right the way through towards Wednesday, that's when we've got our watches and warnings for the Canterbury coast, as those southerly winds really ramping up and picking up speed. And again, gusts perhaps 120 kilometres an hour in those most exposed areas of the Canterbury High Country. Worth saying, we could find gales as well down towards parts of Southland and the rest of Otago, so definitely worth keeping an eye on the forecast through the next couple of days as well. But with those strong winds, we could well find damage things like trees and power lines and anything unsecured as well, and it will make driving hazardous as well, especially on those higher, more exposed passes. So please do keep up to date with the latest forecasts, watches and warnings, and as always, you can find all that information at metservice.com.